Meeting people for the first time, we always make a judgment based on their appearances, though the proverb tells us not to make such a mistake. Appearances are really deceptive. It is like a wrap of a sweet. Every one of us, at least once in our life, unwrapped a sweet in a bright paper, but instead of a chocolate sweet, found there just caramel. Or vice versa, sometimes a really tasty candy is hidden under very unattractive wrapping paper. The same we can say about people. A Shot in the Dark, written by Saki, is an interesting story which portrays a person who takes time to analyze people, but still cheated by appearance and circumstances. Hector Hugh Munro was born on 18 December 1870 in Akyob, British Burma, which was then part of British India. He was best known by the pen name Saki and also frequently as H. Munro. He is considered by English teachers and scholars as a master of the short story and often compared to O. Henry. He was a British writer whose witty and mischievous stories satirize Edwardian society and culture. Besides his short stories, he wrote a full-length play, The Watched Part, two one-act plays, a historical study, The Rise of the Russian Empire, a short novel, The Unbearable Basington, the episodic The Westminster Alice, a fantasy about the future German invasion and occupation of Britain, and The Open Window are some of his famous stories. The Lesson, A Shot in the Dark by Saki, is an interesting story which points out that sometimes truth is misinterpreted and people who think they are acting wisely are not always right. In this video, you are going to watch and enjoy an amusing story that describes how a man who considered himself very smart and observant finds that he had mistaken the genuine plea of a stranded youth. A shot in the dark is an idiom which means a guess that has a small chance of being right. Before we move on, let's learn the characters. The main character of this story is Philip Slotherby, a man who aspires to become a politician. Mrs. Salpanjago, a rich and influential lady of high rank. Bertie, son of Mrs. Salpanjago. Claude People Casey, a friend of Slotherby. Philip Slotherby aspires to become a member of the parliament in the Eastern Division of the county of Yorkshire. The gentleman who is holding the membership at present does not seek re-election, and Slotherby is considered to be his successor by the party. Recently, Slotherby has developed a contact with Mrs. Salpanjago, who is a rich lady of social importance in London. As she can confirm his nomination to the parliament, he goes to meet her in her country residence in Bill Manor. Philip Slotherby settles himself in an almost empty railway garage with a pleasant consciousness of being embarked on an agreeable and profitable pilgrimage. Among the passengers dots about on the platform awaiting their respective trains, Slotherby finds a club acquaintance and beckons him up to the garage window for a chat. He tells his friend that he is going to spend the weekend with Mrs. Salpanjago. His friend wishes him a good time and bids farewell. Slotherby waves goodbye to his friend, pulls up the window and turns his attention to the magazine lying on his lap. He scarcely glances at a couple of pages. However, when a smothered curse causes him to glance hastily at the only other occupant of the garage. His only companion inside the garage is a young man with dark hair and fresh complexion. He looks like a nut going on a rustic holiday. He was desperately searching for something from his coat pocket. He took out 6 pennies again and again and was helplessly looking at it. A cigarette case, matchbox, latchkey, silver pencil case and a railway ticket are turned out onto the seat beside him. Slotherby is not much impressed with him, but the man calls him, asking him whether he is going to meet Mrs. Salpanjago at Bill Manor. He says he is her second son Bertie and he would be there on Monday evening. Then he explains that he has left his purse behind on the table. He also says that the purse has his crust on it and 4 quid with it, which would meet the expenses of his weekend stay and fishing in Broadway. So he asks Slutherby to lend him £3. Slutherby willingly accepts to help him. Then he inquires about his crust. Bertie replies that it is a demi-line holding a cross-crosslet in its paw. Slutherby remembers correctly that it was a greyhound cront on his mother's notepaper. Bertie promptly replies that it is the Jago crest, while demi-line is the Salpin crest. Slowly, suspicion creeps into the mind of Slutherby. To clear it away, he further inquires about his mother's appearance so that he could identify her easily at the station. Bertie replies that his mother resembles him with dark brown hair and high color. While getting down in the next station, Bertie asks him his 3 quid, which he has already promised. But Slutherby refuses to pay the money, saying the difference in the symbol of crust shook his promise, and the story about the resemblance of his mother confirmed his doubt. Actually, he has met her once in a party with a blonde hair. Bertie is upset and finds himself helpless. The train moves on, leaving Bertie cursing furiously on the platform. Slutherby is all happy and proud about his shrewdness and eagerly awaits the dinner to narrate this interesting story. On the contrary, when he is received in the next station, he sees 2 crests, both a greyhound and demi-line, on the door panel of the car. When he asked Clack People Casey, a lawyer who has travelled on the same train to Bill Manor, says that Mrs. Salpin Jago often changes her appearance, and 5 weeks ago she has changed dark brown hair into blonde. Slutherby is totally shocked and becomes spellbound. His eyes were fixed on the door panel, on which were displayed 2 crusts, a greyhound cront and a demi-line holding in its paw a cross-crosslet. The moral of this interesting story is, seeing is not everything. Appearances are deceptive. There are so many truths behind it. Life itself is a thrilling experience and offers us a lot of surprises in its path. The smartness of Philip Slutherby is shattered by such a surprise in this story. The lesson, A Shot in the Dark, reveals a beautiful theme, that is, the feelings and actions of fellow human beings have to be trusted and given due respect.